So I'm going to try to do this 10 seconds a slide because I really have to go to the bathroom. I'm Clay Bennett. I'm the editorial cartoonist for the Chattanooga Times Free Press. Now before I start my presentation, I just want to apologize for any offense. I suppose that there's a chance that I won't offend anyone, but in a group of people larger than, say, one, the odds are pretty good I will. And I've had a couple of beers, so the odds are even better. So let's see here. So I can poke anything here, I guess. Here we go. And you know, it's really bound to happen because the whole point of an editorial cartoon is to express an opinion on political issue or current event, and to do so through the use of humor, ridicule, exaggeration, and mockery. And editorial cartoons aren't supposed to be even-handed. They aren't supposed to be impartial. You guys are slowing me down. And they aren't supposed to be fair, which is fortunate because I am none of those things. Now, I hope you know me through my cartoons in the paper, but you may recognize me from a recent appearance on the Bill O'Reilly show. My mother was so proud. So I moved here in 2007, and a lot of people wondered why I would want to move from Massachusetts to Tennessee. But the decision was pretty logical for me. I grew up in Alabama, so I'm a Southern boy at heart, and even though I couldn't find a Trailways bus fast enough to get me out of the South when I was 22, later in life, I had this strange yearning to return to the region that had left such a lasting scar on my psyche. Yes, that's the irony of an English-only law in Tennessee. But why would a liberal cartoonist like me want to work in a conservative state like Tennessee? Well, first I would argue that I'm not a liberal. That makes me sound far too conservative. And then I would say that Tennessee shouldn't be called conservative because it makes it sound far too liberal. But it's really that political incongruity that makes Chattanooga such a perfect place for me. You see, at its core, editorial cartooning is fueled on discontent and anger. And being in Massachusetts, I had a hard time getting to that outrage. But let me tell you, Tennessee has been a welcome relief from all of that. Now, I used to think the General Assembly was the most inane legislative body I'd ever seen, but then I saw 7 of our 9 Hamilton County Commissioners voting to discontinue funding family planning services. As hard as it is to believe, this is the only cartoon in my 30-year career where I depicted a politician as a sperm cell. So I'd like to apologize to sperm cells everywhere. Now, the city isn't without its own inept leadership. Please stop me. I knew this was going to be a great move for me. But I really had no idea what kind of cartooning gold awaited me here. And the great thing about working in Chattanooga is when you run out of in-state stupidity, there's always Alabama. What do you know? A racial issue in Alabama. Go figure. But now look, I only included this cartoon because I think it holds the record for most labels in one cartoon. But let me tell you, a little cartooning advice. If you reach the label jingoism, you've gone one label too far. And, but anyways, Congress, of course, thanks to the Tea Party, Congress is now as stupid as any Southern legislature. Currently unemployment is 8.2%, and Congress is debating birth control and Planned Parenthood. And the state governments are not any better. There's a law in Virginia that forces any woman contemplating an abortion to undergo mandatory ultrasound tests. So, yeah, that would be the impetus for that one. But I guess we should expect this stuff in an election year. I'm just not sure the GOP can sell their family values image anymore. I mean, do you really want Newt Gingrich making the one woman, one man argument? I don't know. I mean, hasn't he already discredited traditional marriage enough? Maybe we should find somebody else in the Republicans to make that argument. Herman Cain, maybe. I don't know. Man, these are going faster. You sure these aren't 18 seconds? I timed this for 20 seconds. We got a country teetering on depression, and the presidential candidates would rather focus on issues of personal morality and religious values. I mean, Rick Santorum even asserted, in all seriousness, that Satan has his sights on America. Oh well, you know, it's I guess I shouldn't complain. I guess if they're ignoring the economy, they're not doing anything to make it worse. Like their plan to relieve us from crippling debt by, you know, crippling budget cuts. But, you know, okay, so you can get the idea. I don't like conservative politics, and it's, you know, and so it goes to figure I don't like Republican candidates either. But what is a bit surprising is that a lot of Republicans seem to share my view. You know, look, you know, but don't underestimate them. They still have a plan to win in November. You know, if you can't find qualified candidates, devise a plan to disqualify voters. You know, it works great. But listen, I'm down to my last slide. To any conservatives in the audience, I have a peace offering. My last slide is something I think that maybe even you might appreciate. You know, I'm really sorry. I'm so. It's a cute puppy. It's a cute. Doesn't that make it all so much better? The cute puppy. But listen, in closing, I want to thank you all for coming out, really, and especially for not throwing anything at me. But also, I'm going to take 20 more seconds, because I'm sure these were 18 seconds. I really want to thank my bosses at the Chattanooga Times Free Press. You know, not only for sponsoring the food and drinks, which I truly enjoyed, but also for sponsoring me for the last 4.5 years. I mean, drawing cartoons for the Times Free Press has really turned out to be a dream job for me. And, you know, I may have drawn all these cartoons, but if it wasn't for the platform the paper gave me, none of them would have been possible. They give me so much freedom, and they take so much grief because of me. But no matter how loud or abundant the complaints, their support for my work has been just absolutely unwavering. So even though I may not make it very easy to be my boss, they make it really easy to be me. So thank you all very, very much.